It's a little. We usually try to start on time unless Larry's on, so otherwise you start 10 minutes late. We will try to start on time. It was a little after 1 o'clock, and I want to thank everybody for coming here. We will call the District 6 Supervisors meeting for Wednesday, December 4th to order. And again, I want to thank everybody for coming. So I think what we'll do is just start out with some introductions. I know we have some new supervisors. We have some new legislators. Maybe let's all get a little familiar. So I'm going to start right here with Lucas, and we can go right around the table. How about that?
All right. Lucas Finken with the ISACS staff, Government Relations.
Jamie Cashman with the ISAC Government Relations team.
Tom Detterman, District 69, which is just all of Eastern Clinton County.
Jeff Wolster, Road Superintendent, Clinton County, guest speaker.
Rick Gilbert, Jackson County Road Superintendent.
Jeff Madden, Delaware County Supervisor.
Julie Helmer's Delaware County Supervisor.
Dan Wheeler, Delaware County Supervisor.
Doug Reimer, Clayton County Supervisor.
Steve Deputy, Lake County Supervisor.
Dan Fox with DCI. Frank Peterson, Clayton County Supervisor.
Don Swanker, Jackson County Supervisor.
Rachel Bennett with ISAC. Nan Weigel, Jackson County Supervisor.
Lynn Henniker, Dubuque County Supervisor.
Tim Irwin, Clinton County Supervisor. Ned Reuter, Jones County Supervisor.
Don Vogel, Buchanan County Supervisor.
Johnny Kurtz, Buchanan County Supervisor.
Keith Whelan, Buchanan County Supervisor elect.
All right, thanks. And we'll go to the Zoom and Ken.
Yes, sir. Ken Beck, Scott County Board of Supervisors.
And Art.
Good morning, Representative Art Stade, Senator-elect.
Congratulations. And
Thank you.
Chris. Chris, are you with us? I know Chris was on the road with the twins, and I don't know if she's on the road yet or available, but I know she was trying to get here. So anyway, Chris Noyer and Senator Chris Noyer. So again, I want to thank everybody, and I want to especially thank Lucas and Jamie and Rachel for help organizing and making the trip and being here today. So which moving forward, I might change it up a little bit. So let's go to introductions as far as supervisors, and if they have any county, any topics or current issues, whether successful or topics that their counties are experiencing, or any good or bad news for them. So any supervisor here that would.
Can I add one thing?
Yes.
One thing, if you wouldn't mind letting us know what your county has decided to do on compensation boards. So to reestablish the compensation board, supervisors doing it themselves or yet to be determined. And if you wanted to share your thought process, that's fine too, but we're just trying to keep a tally of what counties are deciding to do.
Clayton County, we're redoing our compensation board.
So let's just go county by county here and see if you've got other topics that you'd like to mention, and we'll go around again around the table. Maybe we can, if somebody new jumps on there, let me know. How about that? So we'll start over here with Jeff and Shirley.
Sure. We are going to reinstate our compensation board. My part of thinking was, I will always take advice. I like advice. I think if the compensation board is realistic, and ours has been for a number of years, nothing outrageous. And so I am more than welcome. We take advice from all the public. I just think we should reinstate it and at least get their voice.
Appreciate that. Shirley, Jeff, you got anything else going on in the county that we should know about, or you want to brag about or complain about, or?
Well, a big new thing that a lot of us sitting here are going to be involved with is a new mental health region.
Sure.
And a lot of our staff that are involved in that are really nervous. And they want to sit down and say, let's play what if this is, what if it's that? And I said, I'm not going to waste my time doing that. When the ASO is determined, then we can maybe go forward, and then maybe we'll get some rules out.
So you have applied then to be an ASO?
We
Yeah.
have, and then they had Lori and May, am I right?
Yeah.
Had a presentation to present, and then they didn't do any presentation, so they decided they were gonna do that without presentation.
The day before.
Well, I think if they handle the way they release the map of the region, it would be hard to kind of speculate on what they're gonna do because the map they selected was never shared, was never speculated, was never known by anybody other than when they were there that day and saw the new map that completely blindsided everybody.
So that would be then combining then the
Yeah.
two existing regions and maybe a few other counties that maybe that weren't in the, is that correct?
Yes, I
Okay,
think so.
thank you.
Yeah, yeah, and you guys can elaborate on that as we go here, because, you know, it's something we're all concerned with, and of course, and it's gonna be an issue, and they briefly stopped at one of our meetings and had a great presentation, just to kind of tell us what was gonna happen, well, it didn't happen.
Right.
You know, so, I think, I don't know, I think we have a very good chance, you know, but how do you know?
Yep, thank you.
I would say the other thing about Delaware County is a lot more interesting is we are gonna tear down in the spring our old jailhouse and our jail facility. And once we get that tore down, we are gonna add on to our courthouse. And we're hoping to move the treasurer's office, possibly the auditor's office over to where we can have them on ground level. And then a number of other offices, but we'll be adding on to our courthouse.
Good, nice update, yeah, and then you're gonna put a childcare facility in there and operated by the county?
Yes, I'm sure it's gonna.
Yeah.
If you ever have to relocate juvenile and adult corrections, it's interesting because the two heads of those entities don't know each other. And they were in the basement under the old jailhouse. So we moved one upstairs, the juvenile one, and the other two were in our west side building with a multiple of services, mental health and NAMI and
So it was the right hand and the left hand, but they didn't know each other?
the worker bees knew each other. But the two heads of it didn't.
So again, I see some old faces that I will know and some new faces that I won't know. Janice, do you want to introduce yourself? Are you not here new here?
I was just one of the legislators who was invited to watch. I'm the minority leader in the state Senate. I represent the Iowa City area for Senate District 45.
Thank you very much. And you guys feel free to raise your hand or however that works, or whatever you want to do, ask a question at any time. Dan is the new supervisor-elect, correct?
Correct.
And we welcome you and congratulate you guys. So right around the table, is there anyone else over in this corner that?
Ray speaks for Clayton County, you won't let us do talk.
I got the same problem.
We got a new 911 system going in, it's been quite a project and do a lot of remodeling and we built a new emergency management building with our ARPA money and we built a new shop and trying to get things completed. It's been a struggle. We've got concrete the shop 3 different times now. We still got to take it out again. So it's,
Might all look for a new contractor.
that's been, yeah,
We're also looking at a new IT system.
we're doing new IT right now.
Did you say IT?
Yep.
Yeah, so you have an IT director then, or?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I'm sorry, what county?
Clayton.
Clayton, up north, okay, up north. Great.
Most beautiful county in the state up north.
Oh.
You guys read the paper. Board of Directors said I had to give them one place to live in Clayton County, number one county in Iowa. We're about 2 months.
Well, we might have some arm wrestling going on there. Anyone else over there? Newly left over there, is that correct? No? Mr. Schwenker?
Jackson County, we did reinstate the comp board, and again, since Ned and I started serving 2 years ago, we feel they've been giving us good, reliable information, and it's just good to get other opinions, so that's why we reinstated. They are actually meeting on the 5th to 16th, so they have been reinstated, and they're getting ready to meet. Things going on, jail's finally open, we got people in it, so it's exciting. We didn't have to tear the floor out, but it was closed there for a little bit. But that's good to go, we're getting the kinks out and just figuring, kind of wearing it in a little bit, breaking it in. The other big thing going on in Jackson County right now is the right to windmill ordinance, so,
We would have ruined it on.
uh,
You're welcome to borrow it.
we borrowed it,
We
but,
borrowed some.
we got about 14 more layers on it, so, it'll be interesting.
What's the kind of the basic parameters of it?
Right now, the latest thing that we
Protecting our waterways and our
are the
view.
grant,
So the byway and waterways and.
and we do have a fault line that runs Jackson and Clinton County, and we were speculating like a 5 mile setback, and somebody got the University of Iowa geology department to say that that's true. No, you don't need to. It's so much bigger than a windmill that you can't even fathom how big it is. It's not gonna do anything, but then they said, but I wouldn't put it within 1,000 foot of sinkholes. And because you got Swiss cheese bedrock, possible contamination of the groundwater, that kind of stuff. And if you look at their University of Iowa sinkhole map, that looks like somebody shot Jackson County with a bird shot. And if you put a 1,000 foot radius around every sinkhole, Jackson County is pretty much a no windmill zone. So, that's one of the things we also did speculate, in every building you build has fire suppression sprinkler systems in it. Windmills don't. You can't spray that high, you can't get within the fall zone, and you can't put water on an electrical fire. So we're requiring fire suppression within our windows. Just like
Detection
the-
and suppression.
Just in
Yeah.
detection and suppression, just like all the countries in Europe, which that's where we got some of our additional information. So those are some of the key points that we've included in our ordinance.
Thank you.
I got a little history fact to add to that. Now that we talked about the fault line, it runs from, I don't know if you know Jackson County, but it runs from Clinton County up to the middle of Jackson County. And how was it formed?
Actually, I think it went from Jackson County, came down.
Anyway. Storm, Jim, this is your Jeopardy question for the big bonus dollar.
What was that? How was it formed?
How was it formed?
I have no idea.
Okay, so this geological expert that we were talking to, and he gave us all these information about the sinkholes and such, and said that this fault line really is not an issue because it's been there for 330 million years or so. It was when Europe bumped into the United States. Write that one down. Am I correct?
Something like, that's when they tore apart, the supercontinent.
Yeah.
And they just said it's just so large that you can't fathom how big that fault line is. And I was like, I got a perfect imagination.
So we tried to protect our tributaries. You know, we have a lot of streams and rivers. Fortunately, we also have 250 bridges, right? Rick?
Yep.
So we have like 4 bridges over the Macocata River, 4 or 5, and they come with a price tag. But we also have a lot of natural resources with the rock formations and the limestone and the
Migratory birds. And so
So
one other thing that we are including in the ordinance, and this is to the neighboring counties, the fact that our ordinance will have verbiage recognizing neighboring county setbacks. So in the case like with Wayne and Butte County, you have an airport right on the northern edge of Jackson County. If they put a 3 to 5 mile setback because of the airport, we recognize that radius. It's incorporated into our ordinance. Just like we're also asking your neighboring county and look at ours and do the same. If you're rewriting.
So, Mr. Chair, forgive me for asking, so if you have a major earthquake on that fault,
It's
are you
his
think
fault.
Jackson and Clinton are gonna fall into the Mississippi for that?
No, we're just gonna get inside.
Actually, it's kind of the border. It runs just north of Sebula.
We'll become Illinois.
Oh, no, we ain't going to Illinois. We're going as far as Seville and stop.
Might have to move.
So the fault line is right underneath the Preston Golf Course, somebody tells me, is that correct?
Oh, okay.
Runs under our.
So if you lose your ball, you know why.
But again, a good point that he brought up was, you know, we never give it a thought, but he said he come up with the sinkhole things and some of them are 50 feet wide, some are 3 feet wide. But like Don said, underlying circumstances, they sunk for a reason. Well, we don't know that putting, you know, X amount of weight or stress on that is what it's gonna do to our water system, our well system, so it's a concern.
Yeah.
To each his own, so. Lynn, would you like to add anything to
No,
that?
I think we pretty much got her covered.
We mentioned the jail, yeah, we are up and running, so that was, I mean, honestly, I'm gonna tell you the truth, it was horrible.
It was. On the end.
It was absolutely horrible, and it was mostly a timing situation because we started it at COVID. And the supply chain was horrible. You booked the contractors to be there, they didn't have the stuff, they left and did another job. Well, you ain't getting them back when you got the stuff. We just couldn't get it finished, we couldn't get it up and going. We had little things, there's always little things to tweak, but it was, bottom line, I'm tired of talking about it.
The only other thing I would say is, obviously, the two gentlemen we're gonna have talk later on, but improving our county road, gravel roads, putting the ground in them. Took a lot of flack for it kind of in the beginning, but people are seeing the outcome of it now and understanding we didn't get there in a year. We're not gonna get out of it in a year, but people are really liking what's going on, so.
So we'll talk about that.
We replaced what, about 15 bridges in the last 2 years, roughly speaking? We did like 9 last year, we did like 3, those are the day labor.
Last year, I think.
So it's
4 this year.
Yeah, so we got quite a few bridges that have been replaced, so we're getting there.
We'll talk about that a little bit when they go through the program a little bit and some other things that we've changed a little bit, but, yeah, we've implemented and, activated, or if you call them, implemented, some different policies and procedures and updated things that should have been updated long ago. So, Wayne?
So Dubuque County reestablished our compensation board. They met on Monday. Now it's left for the supervisors to deal with a range of increases from 3% to 7.5%. As far as other interesting things in Dubuque County, we as well are working on a new dispatch center. And it will also house our data center as well. It's probably half mile, 3/4 of a mile just south of where we're sitting here right now. It'll be separate from our law enforcement center, which is downtown. We are also working, the zoning board started working on a renewable energy ordinance, which included not only wind, but solar and battery storage as well. Probably over a year and a half ago. About 4 months, it was handed over to the supervisors with their recommendation. For many reasons, I'll say, we actually have decided to break that into 3 pieces simply because we currently have solar developers knocking on doors and even to the point of signed contracts with farmers for solar. We don't have anybody looking at wind or significant batteries at this point. So we're focused on solar developments at this point in time. We'll work through, there's some differences in philosophy from the zoning board to the supervisors as far as the restrictions that have been put in place or have been recommended by the zoning board. We'll work through those. I need to talk to you about how to tear down a jail. Your jail is probably as old as ours, or pretty close anyway, and
Or 67.
yeah, ours sits right next to the courthouse. It would be a lovely, lovely spot for an administrative building. But it's a historic landmark, so. Other than that, Duke's pretty,
Running smooth, huh?
yeah, running smooth.
Good. Jim?
Jump on, I guess, is windmill is, that's the hot topic in Clinton County right now. We're in a little bit different situation than most everybody else. We've had a wind ordinance overlay in place, renewable energy overlay in place since 2008. So we're not really in a position where it's a yes, no conversation. It's a process of revisions to our current ordinance. I met with Farm Bureau last night at a function and I kind of enlightened them last night. I said, the issue is not about setbacks. Our current setbacks are 1,200 foot. But the new technology and the size of these turbines that they're projecting for Clinton and Jackson County are 608 foot tall. So it's much different than back in 2008 when it was 270 foot tall, raw height. and our revisions, I'm just gonna give you a heads up. For those that, the group that's opposing him, and they have every right to oppose him, I have no issue with that. But some of the things that they've done is they went to our Board of Health and got a letter signed by our Board of Health. That puts in place a 1.5 mile setback from all wells, and a 3 mile setback from all dwellings. And then they went on, and I said, I can deal with that. Because, if that's what they wanna do, 3 counties have lost. Madison County, Floyd County, and Worth County have lost lawsuits to the developers. And they had to revert back to their original, ordinances, the setbacks. I said, so if that's what you guys wanna do, that's fine. I said, but when they went to the county board of health and got the signed letter, they also asked them for a decibels. 30 decibels from 6 AM to 6 PM and 20 decibels from 6 PM to 6 AM. Right now, my voice, this is 50 decibels, maybe a little more. They don't understand what they just did.
What?
Yeah. I said, exactly. I said, they don't understand what they just did. I said, because they just impacted Farm Bureau. Any ag community, I've had 3 communities have now reached out to me personally and said, okay, do we go to the board of health? Because we have a farmer that has a grain bin set up just outside of town. And we've been listening to grain bins, dryers and fans running 24/7 since 1st of September. I said, I'm telling you right now, folks, by what they're doing, they're impacting other industry. They're not just impacting the development of a wind turbine. They're gonna impact any industrial and any ag. I said, so I begged them last night. I said, you gotta work with me. We have to be cognitive. We're in different situations. I've been working with Nan and Mike and Don. I've talked to all 3 of you over wind turbines over the last few months. We want to work together because we're working with the same developer is trying to develop in both counties. They're in a much different situation. They don't have a wind turbine ordinance. They don't have anything in place, so they can do pretty much what they want to. We're in a different situation. We have signed contracts based on a 2008 ordinance. So that's why we're in a much tougher situation on how to move forward. Because if this goes to court right now, we will likely lose if we put anything in place that has a 1.5 mile setback or a 2 mile setback. It takes out any development. You can't go from pretty much open season in Clinton County to 0. We'll lose in a court of law because we didn't negotiate on good terms, on good faith, I guess you say. Jump to a different subject. I'm gonna go back. So we have not made a final decision at the board table on the COT board, but we're likely gonna move forward with reinstating our COT board. Tom was former supervisor for Clinton County. Our COT boards have been excellent to work with, realistic the entire time. So we're likely gonna reinstate our COT board. That was thing we just put in place for the Ports Division Iowa Authority. So it's Dubuque County, Jackson County, Clinton County, Scott County, Muscatine, and the Weiss counties. It's really something the city of Clinton's been working on for many years. Muscatine's been working on it for quite a few years. As a city level, they're not very big. They didn't have enough tonnage. With that consortium of those six counties, we have 55 million tons of goods and products up and down the Mississippi River. That's equivalent to the 55th in size in the nation. The Port of Miami is 55 million tons. So we're right there with the Port of Miami. So, but with that, it allows, Dubuque and Clinton and Muscatine and Davenport and Bettendorf to create their own little port authority, join our larger consortium, and then they can go out for some federal dollars and those grant opportunities. So I think that's something that's really good. I mean, I guess I've been really trying to work with others. I mean, Jackson County and Clinton County have shared, we shared our county engineer, gosh, almost 2 years. I think he was on a contract for 6 months and then maybe longer, and now he just hired a new one. But, I think the legislation's been very clear that we need to do more things like that amongst counties and work together.
It worked out great.
Yes,
I mean, great training for our new engineer that trained under Todd for the 2 years I've been in anyhow, for sure, and so great training and.
So, that's all I have. So thank you.
That's it?
Yep.
How do we stop him? Wayne, You gotta turn the crank there, stop it. Ned?
Yeah. Well, we've decided not to reinstate our comp board. We've had good information from them, but, it was kind of a situation where it was harder to find members to be on the comp board. And we thought we'd try it for a year without it and, cool, it's, see how we like it. And our elected officials were pretty much okay with that. So I think we're the only one here that isn't reinstated, but, we're also, we approved the $1.6 million of our ARPA money to go towards an EMA building. And, it was gonna provide some storage for the auditor for some voting machines, things like that. But, they're telling us they can't build the building for 1.6 million. And, two of us actually voted not to spend that much on the building, but, so we're, under the timelines for that, but we're gonna get something done on the property spot. But, that doesn't include the 1.6 million that didn't include the property. Our jail, is, getting, written up by the jail inspector every year. But our jail is on top of our courthouse, and it's not easy to deal with as some of you folks' jail. But,
We can house it for you, good, Tony.
well,
You know what they say runs down there.
yeah. But, we've got to comply with, the jail inspector and we'll do that. There's some painting issues and some rust issues, but I blame the sheriff for not taking care of those on a regular basis. It should be part of the maintenance, part of the budget. But, we've got $5 million for a bridge across the Wapsie. It's something we applied for quite a few years. Cedar County got I think a $10 million grant for a bridge across the Cedar River. But our bridge was, we weren't gonna be able to fund it without the grant because the traffic count is too low, but it involves safety for the farmers because they had to get on Highway 151 to cross the river by Anamosa, and this is just below that bridge, the 151 bridge. And we put a moratorium on data centers, just like Jackson County has. 6 months till we can get an ordinance in place. And we're planning and zoning a recommendation not to use storage containers, but to have a building in place before they want to put these data centers up here. Yeah, so it sounds like it's gonna be a thing of the future and to use up excess power, but we put a moratorium on it just to get our ducks in a row because we weren't prepared for it. Sure. And that's all I have.
Okay,
Yeah.
Dawn?
All right, we did reinstate our compensation board. As an elected official, I do not feel like it's my right to set somebody else's salary, another elected official's salary. I mean, that was kind of how I felt. Maybe that's not how we feel on it. We did do a wind ordinance. We put a moratorium in place when wind started knocking on our door. We had like maybe 20 to 40 people that wanted wind because they were going to directly benefit. And we had over 800 signatures on a petition that did not want. So what we did was we went with bigger setbacks. We actually designed it very close to Polk counties. You know, wind don't like to, if there's a Starbucks in the area, they won't see them knocking on your door. So we did bigger setbacks and Buchanan County has really good ground. And so we have our 55 CSR and that's our zoning administrators felt really, really strong about that. And I can understand why. It's just, you just don't get good ground again. You know, they don't make that. So we did that this summer. Has been very contentious meetings up until the point in time it got passed. And what else, John? Oh, we did build an ELC center. We got that completed. because we got a nice grant from, Homeland Security. to Finish that off, so that allows some space in the courthouse because we're kind of like a little pressed for space. Our jail is our storage now because it's on the 3rd floor, so. And we just recently cleaned that out.
Okay, thanks.
We do have a few other things going on. We are redoing our comprehensive plan. It hasn't been updated for 15 years now. And so that's in the works. And we also had the EMS levy on the ballot this year and it came in at 59.3%. So we're reworking that and we're going through the process of the public hearings right now of making it an essential service here. So that would be something to be coming up again. We're in desperate need of service.
Is your plan to put it on the ballot in March then?
No, not much.
Not March.
We with the school board.
Yeah, school actually.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So it is contentious, and I know, and I don't know, maybe we'll get some insight here on legislation, what they're thinking is coming down the pipe, but, yeah, it's yet to be seen.
Yeah. And we do have our courthouse building was built in 1939. And it's had periodic updates, but we've got some severe tuck pointing issues and consistent roofing leaks that even though we put new sections of roof on, it's still leaking. So we're working on that in windows, trying to identify where the leaks are. It's right into the auditor's office, and she's not very happy.
No, you don't wanna get them angry.
You get a grave digger hired, John?
What's that?
You get a grave digger hired?
I heard they got one from out of county. Yeah, Ray was a good friend of my neighbor that was our local grave digger. He passed away just last month. You don't realize those kind of professions are hard to find.
Gotcha. Well, I appreciate the updates there.
And then we do have our new supervisor here, just be elected.
Well,
And
congratulations.
I'll let Keith say a little bit about himself.
Yeah, Keith Whelan, as you talked about, I guess, the biggest issue that I see is the bridges that need replaced. I mean, we've been real aggressive about it, but it's coming at everybody pretty quick, so, one of my biggest concerns.
We did get a $4 million grant for bridge over the Wapsie that's in dire repair need, so that's gonna really help us out. That's north of Independence.
Oh, sure. Appreciate that. Appreciate the update. So again, yeah, there's a lot of things on the table, you know, whether it be battery storage, solar, wind, data centers. It's all coming down the pipe, so I guess we'll all have to address it at some point, shape or form. You know, like Jim said, I think if we all work together, we've worked very well with Clinton County in the last 7, 8, 10 years. Well, since I've been there, 8 years. I think it's a lot easier to be a good neighbor than a bad neighbor, so we're fortunate to have them to work with, and we work right hand in hand with Eden County and Jones County also, so they surround us, and we don't work so well with the ones across the river. We border them on the river, but we don't work so well with them. So, how about legislators? Well, I see Chris has joined us back again, but I don't know if you can hear us, Chris. Or Janice, you got anything to say?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, I can.
You can hear me?
I can now, yeah.
Oh, wonderful. I apologize. My twins turned 18 on election day and we had to go get their new driver's license and get them signed up for the draft or selective service.
There we go.
So I was just there to make sure everything went smoothly. So, yeah, thanks for having me. I've heard most of your conversation. Did you have questions or did you just want an update?
Oh, yeah, whatever you feel like you want to throw out there.
Oh, well, I guess my big news is that I was appointed to be the chair of the state government committee. So I am setting up meetings with stakeholders in the next couple of weeks. And if y'all want to sign up for one of those times, hopefully Lucas got that email to sign up if there's anything that we need to discuss. But I'm looking forward to jumping into a new challenge of being the chair of state government. And I've heard that that property taxes is on the agenda, but I haven't heard anything specific about what that looks like. So stay tuned. And when I know something, you'll know something.
Okay, we appreciate that, Chris, and we're happy that you could jump in and be with us for a little bit anyway, so.
Thank you.
Anything else? No? Okay, Janice, is there anything you'd like to update us on?
Not really, other than to say that as issues arise, please do not hesitate to contact any of us. I came out of local government. I'm a proponent of local control. So that's sort of where I come from.
Okay. I am too, but that has gone by the wayside a little bit. So Ken? Are you with us, Ken?
Yeah, but I'm a Scott County supervisor, so I'm not a legislator. So
Okay. Well, did you want to chime in on the supervisor section there? Run right past it.
well, I'll just comment on a couple different things on the fact that the wind turbines. We've had an ordinance in place for quite some time with the 200-foot limits. But one of the issues that we have that's unique to our area is that we have Doppler radar. And if anybody's seen the effects that these turbines have on Doppler radar, it basically makes the Doppler impossible to use for predicting directions of storms. So until that issue is taken care of, we don't see that they're going to be coming into the Scott County area, because where they want them is obviously from the west end of the metropolitan area, which interferes with the direction of most storms that come through this area too. A couple good things that I noticed Jim mentioned about the ports of Eastern Iowa. That's a positive thing for this area here. So that'll benefit everybody that's on this call and in the room there as well. Another positive thing is our Youth Justice and Rehabilitation Center will be having a ribbon cutting just in another week, I think it is. And that'll be a facility that currently, when we do physically open it, this is a ribbon cutting. So the actual physical opening of it will be in some weeks later. We'll be able to house 24 juveniles to start with ability going up to 36 once we get the bugs worked out and everybody knowing what's going on at the facility. As we just heard this week that the Wolf Pipeline has withdrawn their request for a permit. I equate that to being a sleeping giant. We'll just have to wait to see. I know that we usually don't like our Illinois folks as much as we like our Iowa folks, but in this case, I think we have to thank them for putting a moratorium on the pipeline through the state of Illinois until July of 2026. So I think that has helped put this one on hold, hopefully maybe for good. As far as compensation boards are concerned, we will not be going with a compensation board. It was overwhelmingly discussed that we felt that the compensation boards, at least in our county, was really a group of lobbyists for each elected official. And if the data that was going to be given to those folks is the same data we're getting, then we're more than adequate to take a look at that information, make our own decisions, since in the end, we're the ones who make that final decision anyway. So I'll leave it at that and turn it back to you.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Ken. Art, would you like to chime in?
Thank you. I just wanted to know I'm here to listen and see what your needs are, make sure that you have the tools at your disposal and that the state doesn't preempt all of their local control, and to make sure that you have those tools to get the resources that you need to take care of local citizens. I don't have any committee assignments yet, because I'm in the flux between the House and the Senate, but I'll update you when I can. Thank you for your meeting today.
Appreciate it. I think we all agree our needs are money, right? Tom?
Again, just going to start my third year, the second session, and vice chair of transportation again, and four-laning Highway 30 is always top on my list. So be working on that, and I'm sure in transportation, I wasn't quite sure how the speed camera thing would work, but it seems to have worked pretty good, I think, on the speed cameras. It made a real dent in them. We are only 3 votes away from banning them in the House. So, there's a lot of, thought to just ban them, so I think it worked, the legislation worked pretty good on that. I'm sure banning, talking on cell phones will drive, and that comes up every year. That'll be a major issue, and then the biggest issue again is, we've all know, is property tax. And, personally, on the door knocking and that, a lot from the seniors on fixed incomes. You know, I would like to see maybe some kind of freeze on seniors' property tax from my end, from what I've talked to the public. Unless they can afford it. I mean, if there's a difference between a widow on $1,000 a month income and some other retired people, but for the people that can't afford it, I think we really need to do something with their property tax. I'm telling all my counties and cities, you better have tight budgets, because Des Moines is going to do something on property tax. Usually what we do isn't the best.
Okay, did I miss anybody? No?
Quick question for
Yeah.
somebody at the state level. Do you see anything that, you know, you've heard a lot about the renewable energy ordinances going on. Do we see anything at the state level?
I missed that. I talked to the speaker and the leadership, and they won't say directly, but I think it's all on the table, from eminent domain to the utility board to wind, solar. Nuclear now is, so I think there's gonna be discussions on the whole thing.
So yeah, we could put a lot of time and effort in for nothing, but you know, I mean, it's.
One of the things I'd like to see, Tom, and that all the legislators that are on, is, do something with, I'm gonna talk about Carbon Pipeline. Before Carbon Pipeline can have any negotiations with any landowners, they have to host a public meeting in each county. So if you read, who had those meetings, I know some at Carbon came and had those meetings in Clinton County. So nobody could have those discussions. Nobody knew what was gonna happen in our local area until they came and had the meeting in Clinton County. These wind turbines and solar companies, they have, pretty much before us as county supervisors find out about it, they have most of those leases locked up, signed, you know, and they're locked in. I've had 6 conversations with landowners in Clinton County that are trying to get out of their wind turbine lease, and they cannot get out of it. There's just no way. Even there's a husband and wife that the husband signed on, the wife did not. And their attorneys that they've talked to said that doesn't matter. He signed on, he's as one owner. So if you could change the language that they have to have those meetings in each county before they can start talking, at least it takes the pressure off that, you know, people need to be paying attention, but, I just think that's another option to kind of open up people's eyes up to these conversations, so. I
think in that realm too of, maybe some kind of standardized lease, and giving the people so many, 7-10 days to back out of it, or something, have some, because the way I hear every lease is unique. And there should be some kind of standard in it, and, I think that's part of looking at the utility board and, the whole thing on it. What I don't like about say the pipeline, the same thing, they can't talk to the owners till they have the public hearings. And then they tell them, well, negotiate with the people, go around them. Well, they can't, because they've got a corridor and they can't get out of that. They have to start from square one if they want to. So that's not right. So I think, like I said, it's been 20-30 years since the utility board's been looked at, regulations, and again, I think a lot of this is maybe we move too fast on things, but I wish we could study some things maybe a little more than we do.
If I could touch on property taxes a little bit, I appreciate the work you guys do. I'm always in favor of trying to limit property taxes, roll them back as much as possible. But then as you look on the supervisor side and the money that doesn't come back to our county because maybe we were penalized for being just slightly over the 6% growth rate because the formula came out a little late and we had to report ahead of time. And then to hear the states tout $900 million and $1 billion surpluses. To me, a good property tax reform is you lower property taxes, you take in less, but then you don't sit on a great big surplus. And some of that comes back because the last 2 years you report they were last summer, they were reporting a $900 million surplus. The year before was $1 billion surplus. To the layman out here, it sounds like there's $2 billion sitting around collecting 5%. And our county got squeezed to the tune of $120,000 because we were over the 6% growth rate, even though it's a small rural county. We don't get big industry. We don't have huge housing developments. The only growth we get is property tax, and that gets stolen or taken away from us about every year because you guys set the rollbacks. Then if that's still not good enough, we're penalized for the growth, and $120,000 in Jackson County is significant. And so that's where I'd like to see the balance, because if we're getting taken that much money away, don't tell me there's a huge surplus, because that's kind of rubbing salt in the wound to me.
The huge surplus is, a factor of, the individual income tax, is going to, 3.8 the first of the year. And it's fourth lowest in the nation. But with that, they're predicting next 2 years will be short a $500 million.
Yeah.
And that's why they're very, very leery of touching that surplus, because it's gonna be ate up with our tax, lowering our taxes. But we've got more than, I think it was 900 million left over. We have almost $1 billion in the rainy day fund. And then are we at 2.9, 3.9 in the taxpayer relief fund? So, it might be $5 billion.
That doesn't make me feel any better. I appreciate you guys having a lot of stuff in the bank, but our expenses don't go away. And actually, some of the unfunded mandates that come out, that stupid little property tax postcard that cost our county $10,000. The fact that so far you guys haven't allowed incarcerated people to get on Medicaid, which again cost our county almost $100,000.
Yeah, what were the public notices that you had to publish?
That's what I'm talking. The fact that incarcerated people can't be on Medicaid, if they're on Medicaid when they're arrested and they lose it, that means we gotta pay cash. Little things like that go a long ways towards alleviating our financial burden so we can get better mileage out of our dollars.
We get condemned for doing a job, that's what they're saying.
Yeah.
And I say you guys need to get on your state legislators more. Show up. I go to most of the Clinton County board meetings. Yeah. And I go to the council meetings too, so.
Hopefully last year that Medicaid thing actually, that sounded like, that made traction, but hopefully this year, you guys can actually do something with it and make it happen, because that's a financial burden that we have. One juvenile cost us almost $65,000. They have appendicitis, so with that you can't budget for that.
Well, that, and then I'm jump on the juvenile comment, Scott County's gonna be opening up hopefully soon, a juvenile detention center. So that'll help us with some transportation, because right now we're running out to Lynn County, but then at Lynn County, we're contracting in Lynn County. 3 years ago, we spent less than $30,000 for juvenile detention because we were able to house them in-house, but then the federal law changed, or they're starting enforcing the federal law. So it's the federal law that's being pushed down to the county level. But the state of Iowa, the legislators are not backfilling and funding the juvenile detention centers the way they're supposed to be doing it. What are they at, Jamie? Are they at 10 or 12%? I think is what they're doing.
That's correct.
Is there only 10 or 12% of their funding that? So that's rolling back on us. And you're saying, you said 63,000 was for Medicare, or it was because of a health issue, right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Juvenile detention has cost us $276,000 last year.
Now you factor in with the new mental health regions, they're taking away the medical paying for meds. That falls back on the county.
Yep.
So we're getting hit on all sides, and you guys can roll back taxes all day long. That just means we gotta raise them somehow, or find money, or cut services, and we're tapped.
Just a comment, to make sure you're talking to your legislators. We do, and they say, we're doing this for the taxpayers. I said, well, what are you doing to local government? because our prices keep going up. We just mandated a rule on full-time, salaried employees, that you have to be up over $60,000. Well, that affects us.
Yeah.
And the back to blue thing, I totally support, but that costs us money. I mean, money's gotta come from somewhere, and for them to just keep saying you don't need it.
I'm one of the few, local government, people there. I was a councilman, I was a supervisor, so,
That should be a prerequisite.
very few are
They're
there
legislators.
that understand it. I agree.
And I do apologize because you are the only legislator in the room, so it seems like I'll. Those are just things that we're dealing with, and I'm a new supervisor of 2 years, and it's just like, it's like we're jumping into the deep end of the pool with a couple of rocks tied to our feet, trying to keep afloat and justify these things, and every time we just get a good handle on things, the state comes and jerks a little bit more away and adds a little bit more to the rock, and down we go.
Representative Northern Munson was at the Farm Bureau meeting last night, and he told us that flat out, property taxes was number one agenda item again, and he said, it's unfortunate that, because of the actions of 10 or 11, maybe 12 counties that are growing at such a harsh rate, and they're not lowering their tax levies, that we're all being punished, because none of us are in there, we're not,
I was at a meeting.
I think you have something to say to that though, because when you are growing your county, you have more infrastructure needs, so you're gonna have more needs in order to have that growth, so where are they supposed to cut it? I mean, if they're growing their counties, like what we're supposed to be doing, because we all want growth, we get punished on the backside by the state legislators because they cut our growth. How are you supposed to get that infrastructure and the money for it? Where does that come from?
Clinton County has, we just got figured out our rates. We're roughly 300,000, if we keep our tax levies the same as what we had last year in our new tax assessments, we're gonna have $323,000 of new dollars. Our first, the submittal from our sheriff's union could cost us $580,000 just for the sheriff's office because of what they want in their contract. They're asking for a 12% increase, with steps. That eats up everything. That's nothing else.
Your health insurance too.
We just got, we don't know what health insurance is. We just got notification from our insurance agent, our property, our equipment, and that cost is going up $150,000 over last year's rates. 4 years ago, when Sheriff Greenwald was elected in, we started switching over to Chevy Tahoes. We could buy those for $31,000 each. The price of those today is $47,000 with a 5 to 7% increase gonna happen, July 1st. So everything's going up, just as, I told Farm Bureau last night, just as your costs have gone up, the cost is not any cheaper, less expensive for the counties. Actually, when you're doing contract stuff, we're doing ARP money.
Data spanking rule.
Exactly. So yeah, Tom, I appreciate your efforts. You are very active. You're always at our meetings. I appreciate that. But yeah, so sorry to pile on you because you're sitting here, but you know it. But yeah, they hit us with property taxes. We're not a city. Cities have other avenues to generate income through sewer and water bills and stuff like that. I don't know what counties do. I don't know of any county that has that. Maybe they do up in Northwest County, in Northwest Iowa, but we have.
Cities have more revenue sources.
Yes, yeah.
And there's been talk too, as we want to cut property tax, we should be giving you guys other revenue sources, but I haven't heard of any.
Right. Library fees, something like that? I don't know.
I want to pay for the library.
Okay, I got a hand up. Yeah, Janice?
Yeah, no, so I came from local government as well, and I hear you loud and clear. Obviously I'm not in the majority party, but I would urge you to write specific stories with specific issues to at least to all the legislators. And then when there is a bill, if you're able, come up and testify at the subcommittee meetings with real specifics and what would help you as opposed to what would hurt you.
Thank you.
I do sort of feel like, yes, you had touched on some of the elderly being hurt, maybe being able to lower their property taxes and stuff like that. We've kind of lowered their income.
Not lowered it as much as just freeze it.
Okay, we'll freeze it, but we've lowered the elderly's income tax. And if we lower their property tax, I feel like we're gonna become a retirement state, and I'm not sure that that's what anybody wants.
Where do you go? One place to retire out.
Another topic, if you don't mind, the engineers, the county engineers have been briefed on this the last 3 years that I'm aware of. But the DOT and the local, systems share, road funds. And over the last 3 years, at least, that we've seen, the DOT has taken additional shares of that 100% share. So if they were at 40% one year, they're moving themselves up to 45%, and that constantly keeps it increase. And the projects that I tend to see at the DOT level are safety improvements. Interchanges that have been in function for 30, 40 years are now being replaced. At what reason? They're not functionally obsolete anymore, like so many of our bridges and the rest of our county roads are. But they tend to do these safety improvements on a functioning system, so.
Especially roundabouts.
There's a conversation, yeah, so something to consider if you don't mind.
Something we had coming our area, temporary reserve was a little off something, but we have the most trees probably in the county in Iowa, Clay County, and these other counties got 2 or 3 trees and they want to throw it on a supervisor, like put a target on our back, you know, we really want that to happen to us.
We have our trees down here. We have a great.
I didn't bring it up, but someday, out of the state, we're gonna have to talk about funding highways too. I mean, the gas tax now is, I think, about at least 10 years old, and that's all been eaten up by inflation, so. We're in the cut mode, not the end tax mode, so.
We do have county engineers here, and they're gonna tell you, the overweight trucks that we're getting. And the higher tire pressures and everything are destroying our rural road. And the state just keeps increasing the weight limits, and it's killing it. And we don't have any more money to do it.
Sold the horse and buggy.
Yeah,
You want to start
Hard on the road too.
yeah. And horseshoes.
Bridge is already shot.
I've been going to Washington for at least 30 years, and they've been telling us we're going to the per mile with the little black box, and that doesn't seem to happen, so, I don't know what they're gonna do to fund, highways in the future. I think it was Minnesota. Right now, registration fees are 1% of your list price, and I think they went to 1.5%. You get more revenue for that, so, yeah, I have no idea what they wanna do, but someday they're gonna have to address funding to the highways.
Well, that, or we'll start thinking about limiting the size of equipment they can drive on, because what used to be semis hauling grain, now is grain carts that have a lot more pounds per square inch under less tires. That are, you know, we're getting tractors and wagons almost that don't fit on a 24-foot wide up roadway. You know, and that's not safe for people coming at, you know, oncoming traffic and things like that, so I mean. There's a lot of different things that can be done.
I can remember when they used to have to license everything that went on the road a few years ago, but.
How old are you, Tom?
How do you think your license plate will?
Okay, good conversation. Anybody else got anything guys? What? Otherwise, I'm gonna invite, Jamie up here or Lucas, whoever wants to come up first, second.
Yeah, I think we'll just stay here. We got
Okay, you just stay right there if you feel comfortable.
We're more than comfortable.
If I don't like what you're saying, I'm behind you, so.
Yeah, Bob is ahead, so yeah. Sounds good. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to come before you today to outline the supervisors' top priorities for 2025 and to also touch on the ISAC, the Iowa State Association of Counties' top priorities. For the new supervisors that are here, welcome. We are, Lucas and I are in ISAC itself is contracted to represent the supervisors and lobby on your behalf every day at the Capitol. So again, thank you for that honor. So the first document it's the one pager that has with the Iowa State Association of County Supervisors at the top. And this was put together by our legislative committee. And so I want to thank Jim and Dawn for their service on the legislative committee. And then this was ultimately voted on by the full membership, the supervisors membership at the annual meeting that we had in August at your business meeting. And so flipping it over, one of the top priorities, not shockingly, and we've already talked about, is eminent domain, and that we remain adamantly opposed for the use of eminent domain for carbon-based pipelines. For those I'm sure are well aware of what the Utilities Commission did in granting that authority for the Summit project. But it is predicated on North Dakota passing it, which they did do last month, and then and South Dakota before they can move forward on the Summit project. There was a ballot initiative that was on the ballot for in South Dakota that would require the landowner to prove that the pipeline would be detrimental to move forward. Well, actually it failed, which was good. And so that flipped it. So now it's all incumbent on the pipeline company to prove that it wouldn't damage the land and so forth. So that is something that we continue to value very, very closely. And so again, I know eminent domain is going to come up again. And also, as Tom had mentioned, things towards the Utilities Board or Utilities Commission. We certainly appreciate what the House has done in the last few years and moving forward and on curbing eminent domain and so forth. And we hope the Senate will do likewise of this year. And then we're very pleased to hear, as it was mentioned by Ken, about the Wolf project not moving forward. Next is on Medicaid funding. So the first part of this is calling for an increase of the reimbursement rates for Medicaid on a whole host of different things, from dental, EMS, mental health. We were pleased that it was bumped up last year. Obviously, it needs to be bumped up more. And then nursing homes and a variety of other Medicaid covered services. But we're asking for that across the board, not just for mental health, but all those services. And the second half is getting right to what you talked about in regard for Medicaid coverage for those housed in county jails. What is needed, and that we will be pushing again this year, is calling for Iowa HHS to ask the federal HHS for that waiver that then would allow for Medicaid coverage. Because as you had mentioned, all it takes is just one that can totally blow up your budget. And we've seen that. It's a very, very common story. So if there's anything that would be huge in terms of, impacting county budgets other than addressing property tax and so forth, this would be right up there. So we're going to be strongly pushing for this. Iowa's natural resources and water quality and quantity. A major component of this is the funding of the trust fund. And, as we already passed the constitutional amendment setting up the fund and so forth, but we haven't funded it. And as many of you are aware, is that first 3/8 of the penny of an increase in the sales tax would go to fund the trust. And that would fund a whole lot of quality of life items that certainly would benefit counties throughout tourism, trade, water quality, water quantity, as we've seen a lot of things happening with flooding in recent years and providing those protections and so forth. So we need to finally fund it. The problem is every year that it goes by, we get a new crop of legislators and they forget about that. And so there's always a constant re-education process and so forth. Or there's a majority of folks out there who think we've already funded it just with the constitutional amendment, but it takes a legislative action to put that in place and so forth. And it would fully fund REAP, which benefits all 99 counties and so forth at the 20 million. So we need to get that done.
So for 14 years, they just basically ignored it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sadly, yes. And with that, I'll turn it over to Lucas.
All right, final objective that I'll touch base on, property tax reform. Completely new topic for everyone, right? So I guess I'll start with maybe establishing a baseline. So I think legislators have been pretty clear on a couple of things. One, they've been taking care of taxes at the state level, right? Income tax relief that was mentioned earlier. And they hear about property tax concerns, campaigning, town halls, whatever it might be. And, you know, if there's 900 some odd cities and 99 counties doing things a little bit different, I think most people in this room would agree, well, that's kind of the point, right? You figure out the needs and desires of your local jurisdiction and how this might work. But those don't necessarily go together. And I think we've maybe after a couple of years kind of realized that if the state has worked on their source of revenue in the income tax and they're hearing there are issues with property tax, they're going to want to work on that, right? So maybe we're at the point where House File 718 is not going away. You've now been through a budget cycle. I think the best thing moving forward is talking to your legislators about this conversation that you started the day with. What are those specific things? And Leader Weiner mentioned this. What are the specific things that you're seeing going through the budget process? Those uncontrollable expenses that increase year over year. The fact that when you do need additional revenue, and a couple people mentioned this, it's the property tax. That's where you have to turn. Jim, I think you mentioned this. So road use tax fund, you don't have much control over how much gas people consume, right? Local option sales tax, you can't really control how much money people are spending at the local shops. Hotel motels, the same. Even fees for service are largely set at the state level. So it's the property tax that you turn to. So where is this balance? Well, I think we need a little bit of help from the legislature. So the first step is, okay, we're all recognizing that there's a property tax issue. Let's start to address that. Maybe we figure out ways that it's not the one place that county supervisors can turn to if there are uncontrollable costs. So can we diversify revenue? One thing that legislators did last year, modernize the fee for vehicle titling for the treasurer's office and expand it to cross-county titling. So that'll bring in more revenue, and that's a state service at the local level that was being subsidized by property tax. So if the fees are covering the costs, that's a good first step, right? So we have a proposal this coming year. This is an ISAC objective for the recorders to do the same with their recording fees so that the amount that's retained by the county is covering the costs of providing that state service rather than property tax. So that's number one is how do we diversify revenue a little bit if we can all accept that it costs money to provide the services that people are depending on. I don't need to tell you that half of your budget is going to be public safety and roads and bridges, right? Like there's plenty that every county can cut, and we all admit that, but things are pretty tight, right? So sometimes you do need to look at diversifying revenue, figuring out how those cuts is unfunded and underfunded mandates from the state. And we look at things that, you know, you're asking, if supervisors and legislators can look at the same thing and say, why are we doing this? Why is this necessary, right? Can we start to eliminate some things? Can we get back to more of the intent of earlier today on that cost sharing? So can we look at that? So all that to say, there's a lot of pieces. Continue to talk to your legislators about the specifics in your county. Right now, we have a policy, and I think there was some work done this year in Senate File 2442 to start to address that different jurisdictions are different, but House File 718 was an umbrella, right? It's saying if your growth is this, then this is what happens with the ratchet and your levy rate. And it was trying to address 30 counties that were over 350. We want to get them down. Why? You know, if we say the limit is 350 and we've got a third of the counties over, let's address that. And then Don, I think you were mentioning earlier, there's also this, the growing counties with more valuation. Why are they at 350? Why don't they lower it if the valuations are going up? You know, set aside the fact that they're gonna have more costs. But my point is, you've got two very different problems trying to be addressed with one solution. I think the legislature puts in kind of the 2023, here's where we start. We will continue, and they've said this, they've been very clear. We're going to continue to work on this. So that is the stage that we see that we're at now, is the work on this. So specific examples and suggestions on how can we still look out for the taxpayer while giving them the services that they desire and depend on at the local level. Is that making sense? I did not read any of the bullet points here. I just started going and got on the roll there. So
Remember that one letter we had to send out?
That would be one of them.
So I hope that's kind of where the conversations are going with your legislators is, just being frustrated. It only gets you so far, right? Like, I think everyone can agree, like, we would prefer to have supervisors make these sorts of decisions. If they're getting a little assist and a little encouragement from new legislation, then supervisors need to be having those conversations about how do we make this work? And how can we address this? And, if we're going to have cuts, let's make sure that the taxpayer is seeing it, not just those that are, depending on local services, right? So I'll catch my breath, but I can take questions.
We were one of the counties that was not in the dirty 30,
Right.
but we had valuation growth, so they lowered our levy to 3.35. So how's that?
So kind of some of the issue, and you have a high value lake property, right? So, yeah.
They want a lot of services.
We don't.
So does
We
everybody else.
Right, and so is that not, that's kind of where we're going, right?
We're not overgrowing.
Not every.
We're not a dirty 30. Yeah. We paid a huge price.
Yep. So, and I think that's hopefully where the conversation is going is there are so many different circumstances. And while we would prefer that the boards of supervisors are able to make those decisions, if there is legislation, we do need to take a look at how counties are affected different.
At some point, is the DOT gonna look at taking over ATVs and side-by-sides because of the roads that are utilized tremendously more than people thought versus the DNR giving us what I think we get $2 per tag or something versus maybe road use tax money or, fees that could come back that way.
I haven't heard, but I kind of like where you're going.
Trying to get your road use tax now, all right?
And honestly, then people would pay a registration. They're not opposed to that. I mean, I go to different states. I went to South Dakota for God's sake. You paying the fee and on, you move on. They're not opposed to that. They're not.
Yeah, Jim, what was City of Clinton's, $100?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So they lost out on that with the change of legislation. City of DeWitt was, I think, $35 or $50 fee. $50 was the fee for City of DeWitt to be able to drive a golf cart or a side by side around the city limits. But then that got shut down, that was complete after that, so.
Just talk about diversifying incomes for the counties. I mean, that's a huge one out there because they're $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 rates now. So.
Yeah.
So it isn't the four-wheeler anymore.
Don't license that $1 million farm tractor.
Well,
That'd be the other thing, that a 12-year-old can drive down the road now,
yeah.
And we got to spend all Monday repairing the roads because they're out tearing them up every.
That's right, yeah.
Any other question?
I'm not gonna hand over the microphone quite yet, Mike. One more thing, and especially since we have legislators present and online, follow up on the comp board thing. The conversation today is exactly what county supervisors were asking for and exactly what the legislature did, and that is let the boards of supervisors decide, right? If it's working for them, they can keep using it. And they left in place the code section to say, if you have a comp board, if you reinstate it, here are the guidelines, including show your work, which is something that ISAC had asked for a number of years. If it's not working for you, then take on the responsibilities yourself. And we heard from supervisors for years as proposals came up in the legislature of, oh, we really like it, we don't want it to go away, or, the recommendations are way off and we can just do this ourselves. The way they crafted it, say, if you like it, do it, and if you don't, do it yourself, and let each county board of supervisors.
You did something right?
Perfect. Tom, representative. I have the opportunity to say that's perfect to say supervisors, you get to decide.
I asked Tom earlier.
Every opportunity you have, we should.
I asked Tom earlier about it, and I had nothing to do with it.
If
I guess the correct for rural answer would be, we haven't found anything wrong with it yet.
If you see a good example of show your work, what that means, it might not be a bad idea to share that, because I know even Monday, the compensation board is really trying to figure out what that means.
You bet. And the other thing I'll add is, we are trying to keep track of what counties are doing. We'll probably put out, either a survey or individual emails, depending on how successful we are in filling in. But we want to keep track, and one thing that we have planned for the future, you might be aware of our salary survey. We're going to have that question, on an annual basis, so we can keep track of what counties are doing. We want to be able to report back that, hey, this number of, report back to the legislature and say, hey, thank you for giving this option, because here are the counties that decided to do it themselves. Here are those that decided to go with, reestablishing the comp board, and the flexibility, whatever they decide, the flexibility is appreciated.
And I just have a couple quick things. So the other one pager are the ISAC, the top priorities, and they're pretty much the same as the supervisors with property tax reform, or Medicaid, and then also Iowa's natural resources. And then the other one too, and we've already talked about this, Lucas talked about it as well, as on unfunded mandates. And we've already rattled off several already, but there's also the housing of the HHS offices. We've got courthouse security, obviously juvenile detention and so forth. So again, it's a tremendous honor for Lucas and I to lobby on your behalf. You have our contact information. Those are our cells. Please continue to call us. You're not shy, and keep doing it and so forth. So, and lastly, and almost insult to injury, is I don't know if you've heard from your sheriffs and your county attorneys from the judicial branch. But there was a slight snafu in terms of the computer programming on how those court fines and fees were calculated and distributed out to the counties and go into the sheriff's department, the county attorneys, and then ultimately into the general fund. So it is a good, more than a good chunk of change statewide in terms of, well, one, the judicial branch has fixed that computer error and so forth, but there's going to be a need for an appropriation from the legislature. And I hate to use this word, Lucas, cover your ears, to backfill what should have been allocated or appropriated. And so accordingly, on December 12th, we will be hosting a webinar with the judicial branch, and we'll be getting that information out. And we will have a breakdown, county by county, on how we were worked over by a little computer, more than a little computer glitch. So please tune into that. Again, we'll be pushing for an appropriation to make up for all that money and so forth. So again, thank you very much.
Okay, thanks. Give him a round of applause. Okay, we will get on the little lighter side of things here if we could. So, with me today, I have, Rick Gilbert and Jeff Oster. If they want to come up, we got a little short program on, how we, reclaim some of our gravel roads. And I know gravel roads are important to everyone. I don't know if anyone of the supervisors get emails in here. You do? Well, I almost begged and pleaded for supervisors to come forward with a program. Now, I think Jackson County has done it for the last 8 years, a short presentation. So how it goes from here is, I start delegating.
We could bring Brian in here.
So how this all started here? So Jeff, is Clinton County's road superintendent. And Rick is Jackson County's road superintendent. And like I said, we work very well together. And Clinton County was our interim engineer. We shared him for a couple, 3-4 years off and on. And now we have a new young engineer, and Rick and him are working very good together. And these guys, since all of our engineers are gallivanting around somewhere, these guys had so nicely said, I will come and do it for you. So I'd like to give for your appreciation to these guys too for what they're doing here. These guys volunteered, yeah, we voluntold, they were voluntold to come. And, these guys are the dirt guys, they get out and, actually, this guy's a concrete guy too, he builds the bridges and you can run this.
That's fine.
That's your job.
So,
Yeah,
I can start out my, Jeff Bolster, Clinton County Road Superintendent. My first 18 years, I built bridges, for Jim Schrader Construction Bellevue. So I got tired of that, so I decided to go to Clinton County, and start building bridges for 15 more years, and I got tired of that, and I needed a new challenge, and yeah, I got a new challenge, so I'm road superintendent of Clinton County.
Rick Gilbert, I worked, road construction for 9 years before I got on with the county. I've been with the county 31 years. I started out in a road grader, went to dump truck, went to excavator, went to lead man, and now I've jumped up to road superintendent. So I guess we can jump right into the.
we can, so, I mean, Clinton County, I think, has been doing this a little longer, we haven't, again, since most of you know, we've, got a new engineer a few years back. And it was probably a little overdue, but since then, we've implemented and put some new programs implemented them and got them in working, so this was one of them.
So the purpose of reclaiming the road is to get water off the road, drain the water from the center of the road to the edge of the road. We want to drain the water from the edge of the road to the shoulder and then off the road. And then from, shoulder into the ditch. We want to build a 4 to 6% crown in all aggregate roads and maintain a 4 to 6% crown. I favor more the 6% than the 4.
So do I. Meantime, as water's sitting on the edge of the road, we, graders make little notches so it drains until they get to our 4 to 6%.
Here's a good situation where the water does not get off the road. It causes potholing, pretty severely. There's nowhere for the water to go.
Poor drainage, like it says, 4 to 6% crown there would help all this stuff and also eliminates phone calls with me and you.
Just another situation with water trapped, nowhere to go, potholing. There's another situation, rutting, water sitting in the middle of the road causing, ruts, hard to travel.
Some of it, like, we call it smiling, the road smiling, there's no, not drowning, and that's what kind of indication what we always talk about.
Did you guys catch that? Smiling? Okay.
Yeah, give you a motor grader. Yeah, the road smiling.
Oh, I heard that on the scanner one day, I don't want to tell you about that.
There's a typical, we're at 1.9%. There's where we should be at our 4 to 6%. Road's too flat, not enough crown. There's a typical cross section. Road top should be 22 to 32 foot road top, 1 to 4 foot shoulder, and then 2 to 1 slopes to the ditch.
You talk to any other farmer, this well, should be 40 foot wide. That's what they.
Well, it's because I got that big ring right now.
Yeah.
I would like having 40-foot wide personally.
Yeah, some do,
It
yeah.
takes twice as much, right?
That's right. Paved highways are only 22, so I mean.
Yeah, that's right.
But they want 40, yeah. Go ahead, Rick, it's your.
Okay, we started, reclaiming in 2023. We selected 10 miles in each grader district. We have 10 grader districts, so we got 100 miles. We selected the roads with the highest traffic volume. The mowing shoulders, before you reclaim, once the grass starts growing, you want to mow that before you reclaim it. Otherwise, if it's early in the year, you're fine. When you do disc material, you should leave it lay and rot for 3 to 4 days. Disc again right before you pull it in. Prior to incorporating the shoulder material into the road, potholes and washboards will be being picked out. That is very important to cut the potholes and washboard out before you retrieve it. Bringing retrieval material into the road and shape to required crown. Compacting material is very important. to get a good compaction, so you need moisture, but not too much moisture. After you get it all compacted, crowned, we put 200 tons of the mile of 1-inch clean down the center of the road. And then we top that with 400 tons of the mile of road grass. Then we grade that to the 4 to 6% crown and pack again.
So I.
Any questions on it?
I do.
Yeah.
So when you pack it, do you guys go over with like a roller?
Yeah, rubber tire.
Back tire roll. Two bags, we have two bags.
Who's on?
Okay, so I have a question. So you said 100 miles. How many miles of gravel do we have in Jackson County?
A little over 600 of it.
Okay. So. Is there another slide that says how often we're gonna do this or why or how?
Yeah, it doesn't, I think it is. It does on there, actually, it does.
It is.
I think they previous, how many, like 5 years or something, for.
Yeah, it's gonna take 6 years. So here's a reclaimer. Simply in front of the road grader, hydraulic hoses hooked to the winter wing plow, which runs the reclaimer.
Just from
Does that go
experience,
backward that way?
from experience, Jeff, you know this, when they do that, when they're doing the reclaiming, hopefully after they do the reclaiming, you have about 3 days with no rain. Because when it rains, it becomes a mess.
Yeah.
Mud mess.
It's a mud mess and you will get calls. Yes, it is a. Yeah, weather's really, yeah.
So here's a road that's been reclaimed. That's what it does. Now, if you get rain during this,
Yeah.
it will trap water. So you wanna go to your low points and make notches for the water to get off. Otherwise, you got a mess. That will all turn to mud.
This is right before you're bringing it all in,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, the same day.
Well,
So this has probably been there a couple, 3-4 days?
it could have been, if they did this up.
So this is what it looks like after they run down the shoulder of the road to bring that material back in. So if you got any questions while we're going through this, go ahead and holler at us or kick my leg or something.
So they leave that there for 3 days for just.
Just to let the sod rot,
Let the side,
Okay.
the grass.
it'll fall apart a lot better.
So that's basically a
Mix in.
mixture of your rock grass. Or lime.
Mud.
Here's after it's all been pulled in, compacted, you can see the crown. Once the grass and everything's pulled in there, it's all kind of broke apart. Here's the 1-inch clean down the middle, it's put on. And then you'll wanna pack that before the road grinder goes on.
Did I go twice?
Yeah,
Whatever.
you want that.
That's just 1-inch clean there, yeah.
Yeah, you want the elevator. There you go. There you go.
Here's 1-inch clean is on, they're just starting to put the road rock on top back there. That's a finished road.
You're glad to see that when it's finished in the rain.
That's another road that's been completed. Got a nice crown to it. Here's one they're showing. If you can see, we went out a little further than we should have, got into dirt. Bring too much dirt on, that's no good either.
So like
Get a lot of rain, it'll get soft and ruddy on you.
we do like, they call reclaiming, but rehab when we bring quite a bit in, but we had in, 400 ton, I think it's total of 800 ton rock then, when we're done. But we're down in dishes too, bringing stuff up.
800 tons per mile?
Yeah. Like there's, slide showing that there wasn't enough, moisture.
Yep, this one's getting a little too dry, we're not getting good compaction.
And it just to help validate this, when we started doing this, we ended up having to raise our rural services taxes about 44 cents, I think it was. And the farmers like, as long as, all the farmers that we're talking about, as long as we can see where our money's going, we don't care. Since then, I think I'm about 95 to 98% congratulatory appreciation for what we've been doing. Because I haven't had one person gripe about the increased taxes. And all they do is talk it. Occasionally they say they scrape their finisher going down the road because the crown is a little much and they take the top off a little bit when they go down the road. But that's the huge equipment. But by and large, this has been one of the best things I've ever seen in my 15 years of, any kind of government service, the appreciation for this is overwhelming.
Like I said, I've been there 31 years, is the best thing I've seen.
Lessons learned.
Oh, okay. Yeah, last year, 2023, we completed 97 miles. The last half mile was a disaster.
Do we have some pictures of the disasters yet?
I don't, not that one, but that was, we went into November. And as we finished up and pulling off the road, it started raining. And I think it rained, what, 4 or 5 days?
Yeah.
And heavy equipment went on it and rutted it up terrible. We ended up closing it.
And then was that the same year we got like 4 inches in February was no frost?
The spring.
The spring, yeah.
Spring we did, yes.
Kept raining all winter and then.
But that road held up fine because we fixed it the fall before.
It did.
It took a lot of
And I have to show you some pictures on my phone that, yeah, no.
And then, yeah, dry summer, lack of adequate moisture, limited ability to effectively compact, retrieve material, you need moisture. On some roads, we were too aggressive with retrieval process and brought too much force slope. That was a picture of the dirt. We were bringing too much dirt. Yeah, you're putting dirt on the road. When the dirt absorbs the moisture, it has nowhere to go, and that will just cause rutting. So you don't want dirt, you just want the retrieved material.
But originally, when you build the road, you build it with dirt.
But you gotta destroy the old road. You gotta get rid of that hard pan. You gotta tear that hard pan up. You're gonna bring dirt, so the moisture got somewhere to go.
Yeah, we scarified ours down the middle, like 4 foot on both sides, so it breaks that pan, so the moisture can get through that pan, instead of sitting in between, like, it's like a frost boil, or you got that hard ice and the water can't go down, you know, that's just their.
You're sandwiched in there, and it has nowhere to go.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask if you had any known rock boils on those 97 miles, like you've noticed any improvements?
We haven't had, we haven't had frost boil, but we've been lucky with the, you know, spring's been nice.
And actually, this last spring, the roads we reclaimed the year before were fairly decent
Yes,
roads.
I mean,
4 years
there's no pockets on them reclaimed roads.
4 years ago, we had frost boils in July.
You're not flying down them at 65 mile, well, I
You might.
Most people are not flying down them at 60 miles an hour because of the ground too, you know, so that's helping kind of keep a little bit of gravel there.
So that's, yeah, part of the spring of 24, we had some, rutted roads that failed, there's too much material on there. Them were also a lot of heavy farm traffic that were on it daily. It didn't get a break and we had a lot of rain, they just kept running it up.
So we go back to this, we talked about the tonnage and we talked about the roads and now you got manure tanks that are hauling 90,000 pounds on 4 wheels. Up and down the road.
Or 20,000.
24 out, yeah, or 120,000. 24 hours a day.
Yeah, frost is coming out, you got frost, 6 inches of frost that came out, the rest is froze. They're gonna run it up.
And they don't care. Come on, look at it. What do you want me to do? Come on and get stopped?
Yep.
So I did.
Well, it's even, you know, it takes a crown off, pushes the road out, then next thing you know, you do have your 40 foot wide. Yeah, one load of rock, you know, 200 ton, 400 ton on 40 foot wide, gives you about that much. Doesn't give you a whole lot. That's why we reclaim and get the road back to. Most of our manure's getting hosed anymore. Not really, not doing much. Yeah, we got over 8-10 miles, we just keep going down the road through culverts.
So yeah, I think we've covered that pretty much.
Did you? Okay.
There's one of the roads that, kind of failed on us. Kind of turned to mud. Brought too much dirt.
Even on a normal road, you know, get saw real fast, I mean, it's gonna be.
It's just, yeah.
Even the, part of the normal road, you gotta do that, it's like 30 years.
This is
60 degrees one day,
This is the same road, as you can see, there's pretty coarse material. We ended up hauling 2-inch clean material into that section
15 years to work.
to get it passable.
we got 2 ditches.
That was about a half-mile stretch probably is all it was out of the 100 we did, 97 I guess that year.
That's their reasons they do.
How much grade B road do you guys have?
How much what?
Grade B, class B?
We cut a tree in it.
Oh, God,
Part of it was in the gravel.
class B, we have
I don't know, we got
20 miles.
20, I was 25, 30 miles.
So you guys didn't.
We ain't touched them. No, we don't do anything with class B.
No, we don't touch it.
Right, but you only have about 20 miles of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm guessing.
But they're not maintained.
Right.
Yeah, we don't have 2 or 3, two or 3 miles of class B is all we have in the county.
That's where a lot of our ATV traffic goes.
Yeah.
Here we have, we're retrieving the shoulder material, not the forest load. That was this year, we just, whatever's disc there, we brought that in, put it to the middle. We did not get into the dirt, so that it kind of speeds up the process a little faster. So miles finished in 2023, we budgeted to do 12 miles per district and we finished up the miles that we didn't get done in 23. This year for 2024, we budgeted for 12 miles. We got 103 completed. Again, it got dry. We could have easily got it done. We had to quit. It was too dry. We couldn't get compaction. We stopped work beginning of October and then I don't think we've done, well, we quit when it was dry. I don't think we even started up again. It was just too dry. We did the same process. We didn't bring in as much material from 23. Yeah, it's gonna take approximately 5 years to do all the roads, 609 miles, probably gonna take the 6. And this program assures a measured amount of rock is hauled to each road. Grader operators have also started to lay more crown in all their roads. Once they've seen how it works, they've all been trying to crown all the roads the best they can. At least getting the water to the shoulder. They might be not getting it to the ditch, but they're getting the water out of the center of the road, which is helping with potholes tremendously.
Read that last line.
Oh, county has blading policy that operators are required to follow, and we have GPS tracking now to ensure that all roads are being bladed as they're needed.
So this guy calls and he says, well, they had touched my road in 3 months. We'll go back and say he was there this day and this time and this, and the blade was down.
We've had that about 3 weeks ago. I had a call. My road has been bladed all summer. Oh, really? Oh, look. 3 weeks ago he's there. Oh, he was? I said, yeah. I got it right here. Oh, okay. So.
Yeah, as a supervisor, I really like that because I mean, my first thought is always gonna be to protect my employees. Number one, they're my employees. And so if you have somebody that calls in and says that, then like right now we go through, I have to call Brian and we have to call Phil, then we go on, but with this, you can just pull it up and go, oh yeah, I'm sorry, but he was there 3 days ago.
Yeah.
And the blade was down.
Yep.
That's a good.
Same way with plowing snow, same thing.
Yeah, I can also see if it sits somewhere for now.
Well, so with that being said, it's a safety factor too. If that grader, that truck didn't move for an hour, we better be checking on him or kicking his butt on it.
Yeah, well, I was gonna jump on what you just, right at the end of yours with the whole snow thing. Last year with the snowfall that we had in Clinton County, Jeff, I mean, how many times did you and I were communicating quite a bit, but we had one individual, our policies, you wanna get to everybody, as fast as you can, right? But there's a few roads in Clinton County that don't have a residence on it, so we're not gonna hit that road, right? We gotta get, it was a shitty 2 weeks, or crappy 2 weeks, sorry.
Yeah.
But, we had a phone call that the one gal had said, well, nobody's been on our road. Well, he was able to pull it up, yeah, he's done that road 3 times in the last 4 days. And he's been there, but then you went out and talked to him, well, he didn't go down this way, well, there's nobody on that way. You've got a mile to go back to get to Hard Service Road, there's nobody for 3 miles that direction, we're not gonna go down that road.
Just cause it's the closest for you to
Yeah,
get to
exactly.
town or
That's what it
whatever.
was.
That's what.
Miles to the hard road or 2 miles over.
Yeah, it might take you
How
a
many
while.
boys do you have to maintain 600 miles?
What's that?
How many boys do you have in your fleet to maintain 600 miles?
10.
We have,
They each have 60 miles. Real close.
we have 12.
about the same mileage, or more mileage anyway.
How many men on your specific crew that's doing this?
Just the reclaiming process. We usually have 2 to 3 graders, you have a packer operator, and anywhere from 6 to 8 trucks.
Basically, we pull almost everybody to,
Rock.
At least half the crew. But you got vacations and all that stuff going on in the summer too, so, yeah, we don't do as much mowing as we used to. Things, you know, you can't do it all.
How many
It
boys
takes
every
time
county?
and it takes people.
How many boys in secondary roads?
I got 27.
33.
So how many miles of gravel did you say you had?
A little over 60.
609.
So there's 10, what do you wanna call them?
10 grader districts.
Districts, 10 districts, we got 10 different sheds.
Okay.
And there's 2 or 3 out of each shed.
At least 2, 3 sheds.
Ours is 800, I think 800 to 900, I thought it is.
Yeah, miles?
Yeah, we got, so each one of our motor grader has a roughly 70 to 80 miles, depending, you know, there's a few that we get in northern Clinton County that, you know, they're 68 or 70 miles, and then some in the southern Clinton County, they've got almost 80 miles on their routes. But it's more flat. But yeah, so we got 840, 150 some miles of gravel.
We're pretty fortunate in Jackson County to have the quarries we have too. We have 15 quarries in Jackson County that we pull from. We have 7 quarries on the county lines. Just across the border that we pull out too, and 4 different producers, I believe. So we have access to rock.
So we bid the rock out every spring to 4 different suppliers. Is it 4 or 5?
There's 4 for sure.
Yeah. But so, I mean, it sounds like a lot when you say 200 ton of clean rock a mile. Why, do that again.
200 ton of clean, 1-inch clean rock.
Per mile.
Per mile, and 400 ton of road rock.
Road rock. Sounds like a lot of rock. But in the whole process of the big picture is you ain't using that much rock anymore on that road.
Right. So once you've got it reclaimed, the following year, you may have to go through a touch up. Now, after that, you're saving lots of rock. Once, yeah.
So as supervisors, our rock budget did not change.
and before they started this process, they went out and core sampled how many different spots of how thick our rock was on our county roads.
Right.
And what's your guess? How thick is it? Anybody know?
2 or 3 inches.
Anywhere from 6 inches to 1 inch.
We have one road that was 9, so.
Yeah.
That was a valve.
But.
Were an inch or 2 inches max. I mean, they were very much under.
But Rick lives on that road, so that, you know.
I was getting anything over 6%, it's a little dangerous the other way.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
You don't
you
want
know,
to-
and honestly, I had calls when we started this that you guys are crazy fools, you're never gonna work. You can't drive down that road, you're gonna slide in the ditch and grandma is gonna be there for days, you know? And it went on, the next year, these same people called me back, he says, that's the best thing you ever did. Same people.
You got 6 to 8%, you know, you're gonna wear on that road before.
But it sure is quite a bit, I guess.
You're gonna lose some.
I mean, some lines are, it's not very nice for them.
They got in the center, that ain't a problem.
They like it being smooth.
Yeah,
They don't like the potholes either. Once they drive on a smooth road, they deal with it.
We've had a lot of problems with it. I mean, we maintain the slope, but we've had problems with semi owners and drivers getting in and out of farmsteads and getting over centered and getting stuck right in the middle of the road, you know, and boy, you hear about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big time. And we've got guys going out there with blades and skid loaders, leveling up in front of their places where so they can get in and out.
Probably, a lot of that problem is probably because of the driveway being too narrow. They need to cross the road completely to swing out.
Yeah, they do. They need to.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they can widen their driveway.
Yeah. That would cost them another culvert.
That's on,
Get
that's
a
on them.
permit.
They gotta pay
That's
that.
on
They don't like it.
them. That's on them.
So you guys had to quit, you got slowed down this year because of the dry spell. I mean, I know what our gravel roads were like during the dry spell. I went and drove a couple of them. What I'm wondering is, in this instance, would like a water truck help?
Oh,
Oh,
definitely.
it would if you had
It
it.
would, but it would take a lot of it.
Take a
A
lot of
lot
water.
of water.
It'd take a lot of water.
Okay, I didn't know how much water it would take if we just.
If you want to get, oh, for dry, for rehab or just maintaining?
For rehab.
Oh, yeah, it'll work, and we have a water truck, 4,500 gallon
Okay.
yeah.
You have to, can't, on a dry road, you couldn't supply enough water to reclaim 10 miles.
I don't know how long the road section you guys do.
Oh, we try to do a mile a day.
Yeah, we say stop sign of this here fireworks house, we might just do that kind of in a day. Like, all depends how long it is, but if we can make, whatever, yeah, like he said, whatever you can get done in a day, but there's a cutoff point in a mile, like sometimes we do 4 sections in a mile too, just all depends on who all lives on there, how much traffic too.
Right.
Or how long we gotta go all the way around, people here, it's amazing how people don't know how to get back to their house, you know, you only like an
It
ant.
can only go that way.
They only go that way. I don't know how to get back home.
It's
You get
weather
that?
dependent,
You
very
didn't
weather
even have to
dependent.
tell me how to get home.
Do you happen to remember about how many core samples you did before you had an idea, had a feel for what you were looking for?
I would say 9 to 12, or maybe more than
Mine was
that.
more than that. They covered the, I was thinking 20 or 30.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, all over the county, you know, it kind of stretched out, you know, different, ADT, you know, traffic count,
Yeah.
you know.
Like Clinton County, that we not different from Jackson, we contract rock, each 12 motor graders gets 18 miles or 400 ton. That's what we contract, and we reclaim the road every year, I mean, not aggressively, but we try to get the limit, you know, kind of. Put underneath that, what do you call it, underneath the blanket, put underneath the new rock.
But the little bit of a difference, Clinton County's been doing this for
Right.
a repeated process now. Jackson County, we're just starting that, so we're hoping to get to that point where we can. Basically, from my understanding, Rick, if I'm wrong, you can correct me, but we used to do more spot treating of a road than actually re-rocking a road.
Tell them what you're doing, rock, Jeff.
What's that?
Tell them what you're doing, rock.
The one you hauled? That it? We had, Highway 13 was closed almost all summer and into late fall. And so almost, even though we weren't designated route, most of the traffic went up our gravel road going north, Old 13. So we had a new treatment that we've never tried before. Ray hauled the material, or helped haul most of it. It came out of Patterson's quarry, and I can't tell you the product that they mixed with the rock.
Phase 1?
No, it wasn't phase 1.
Just, chloride.
It's a different, yeah.
Dirt and rock and.
It wasn't phase 1. No.
Permazine? Chloride. No, just just chloride. Chloride and rock and some fines. Oh, yeah.
Magnesium chloride.
It got so hard.
And that road held up. It probably had 4 or 5 times the traffic, and it held up great.
It went from 150 days to about 1,500 a day.
It was actually mud we dumped, you couldn't hardly get through it.
We're gonna see what it does in the winter because it's so hard. And we're gonna see how it reacts to ice.
It will get very,
It'll
slick.
get slick.
It will get very slick.
Yeah.
Are you coming to bust that up?
We do base 1, Permazine and calcium chloride.
We do base 1.
I mean, your dust control also, I mean, you've got dust control and they file for permit for them, but them dust control areas are slick. I stopped the bus on the road one day and I was dead stop and it started sliding.
Yeah, we do try and go over every dust control in the fall.
Right, Mike?
Yeah, what?
Guess who he calls?
Yeah. Call Rick.
We're having a 6 county meeting next week, we're talking about dust control areas, cause we lay them all summer and people are driving their hard down vehicles to the moles. Just cause the people don't want dust in the place, well, everybody should learn their vehicles, cause they build houses out there or dust for Hill Road, you know? So that's one of our big topics in our 6 county meeting next week.
Any questions for Rick or Jeff? More questions?
Thanks for the presentation.
Hey, I'd really like to give you guys a hand because,
Before I put all the other county names in the hat.
they bailed me out this year and, it made their cup of tea and Rick said, yeah, I'm not a speaker, and Jeff says, well,
Maybe you gotta get rid of the water tank.
Talk about that. You know, we're all about talking about positive, you know, pieces of equipment,
We could trade it. or-
I lobbied for a skid loader and the front mounted mower for years and I didn't get it. Anyway, these guys are, first hand guys are on
Talk about
job.
sharing equipment. Jeff, can you talk a little bit about that? Couldn't try to work, we share multiple pieces of equipment with different counties.
Yes, yeah, we kind of barter, yeah, we kind of did this year too.
Yep, we do, yep.
So we actually rented, a paper, or what did we rent from Buchanan?
You guys rented something from us.
Road
I don't remember what that was.
road groomer.
Class one
No,
stabilization.
Brush hog. Brush hog.
No.
Tiller.
We just did the class one.
The base one.
Base one.
What do you call that machine?
Road hog.
Road hog.
Yeah, it's a big loader tiller plant. What county is it again?
Buchanan.
Yeah.
Oh, God, would you guys run that roller, that compaction roller, let's see how that works. We're supposed to do that.
Yeah.
They got a roller run all
The
over
laboratory.
county roads to check the density on road.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
We're gonna run it.
Oh, they tested them all, yeah.
Did you, this is supposed to go around all the counties, I believe, thought.
Yeah, that's when it gets older.
Yeah, but I haven't heard this, I mean, they had a report that was high level, or, well, probably too detailed. But we
A
haven't
lot of
actually
variations.
done the report.
So again, I appreciate you guys coming and thanks and,
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, this guy.
well, that being said, now, like I said, we put on this program on this little skit for 8 years running. So I'm waiting for other counties to step forward next year, so we might draw a name out of the hat. Just wanted to update, one more update, maybe I'll let Don do the update, on Prairie Creek update. So that was a big project we had, last year we had this, little program on Prairie Creek when I had City, Macocota County and Conservation here.
Right now, we just approved going through, we're trying to get a CAT grant to kind of bridge some of the gap between what the estimation for the expense was versus what the actual bids came in. We're trying to cover about $400,000, so, we're in the project, it's all going forward, it'll be interesting, we're gonna get a Frisbee golf course, part of that, and,
Hiking trails.
hiking trails,
Water
right now they're doing the bank stabilization, we'll get parking lots. There's gonna be bathrooms, there's gonna be, another bridge over the Prairie Creek, so it's gonna be quite a little investment. Thanks to the city of Macokota's, large contribution to get the water quality project done because of their USDA grant they got to do their water treatment plant. They were required to spend 10% of that to, clean up water somewhere, so that's what the genesis for this. And, from there, we're piggybacking and kicking in with roughly
120 maybe?
yeah, we're at about 120, 140 out of our,
Each.
it's on our property, it's on a county park.
In the
We
city
got a destination Iowa, yeah, it's a county park in the city limits. And, we got a $700,000 destination Iowa grant. That's helping, we're trying for the CAT grant. And, hopefully, it continues, but right now, project to go.
That was just an update from last year's, program that we had, so. It's a $1.4 million project and our take and our input is about 120,000 each for the city and the county, so. Nice project, there'll be trails, there'll be camping, there'll be, hopefully at some point we can do some rafting.
He said, we'll cook it over by,
That's combining other walks and trails, kind of combining other trails.
south of that, for the industrial biz and the pump over there.
We're gonna have, our max is 120,000.
But,
So there'll be some in kinds.
it'll be interesting, the Frisbee golf, there's quite a cult following.
Or dog parking, huh?
Well,
We already got
the
that.
city has one, but like I say, you think about, we think Frisbees because we're all kind of Gen Xers or whatever, roughly speaking, like that's a stupid little disc you hit your brother with or whatever. My nephew has like $20,000 worth of Frisbee golf stuff.
This stuff.
And he has like, yeah, and I'm like, no, but it's plastic disc, but he's all in, and they travel all over the Midwest and stuff to do this. And so we're getting people, professionals came over professional Frisbee golfers came over, kind of helped design the course because they're so excited about it. And wow.
It's the people who spend 20,000 on Frisbees and then they go spend money because they can, you know?
Yeah.
That's the ones you attract and we don't.
So.
Next on my agenda is race.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll just stand right here. Is that cool?
yeah, you do whatever you like.
All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do, and Jamie and Lucas touched on this a little bit. Sometimes supervisors have some questions, some confusion about the difference between ISAC and ISACS, which is the Iowa State Association of County Supervisors. So the Supervisors Association. ISAC is the umbrella that the supervisors are under. You're one of our 16 affiliates. So the reason that we come to these is because you contract with us for a lot of services, including lobbying, including some for education and other administrative sort of stuff. So one other thing I want to talk about is education and the importance of education, especially for some of the new supervisors. ISAC provides a lot of education and the supervisors also have programming. So one thing that we developed is called the Certified Iowa County Supervisor Program. It's the first continuing education program for county supervisors. It's a 2-year program, and you get your credits through ISAC events, through other webinars, through NACO events and things like that. So anybody who's a certified Iowa County supervisor in the room, raise your hand, because I know a lot of us are. Okay. So congrats and good job. So the next. Okay, so right now, January 2025 is the next start of the next program. So what we're gonna do this year, because of people like Jim, is we're gonna sign everybody up to start. You'll automatically just start getting credits for the things you go to, and then we'll notify you when you become a certified Iowa County supervisor. So that way, people slack up, no register, and still get certified. So I think Jackson, you had all of your supervisors, right?
We did this year.
Yeah, it was very cool.
Tom was, and he left.
Jim should be.
And he's not. All right, so in your little packet, there is a certified Iowa County supervisor packet. It has your next 3 events that are coming up. We have you kind of working hard at the beginning of 2025. First off is the NCO school, which is the new county officer school. It's a 2-day event. The first day of the event is everybody's together. It's the kind of 101 subjects, ethics, open meetings, the things that will keep you out of trouble. And then the second day, the supervisors have specific programming just for the supervisors. So those items are listed on here as well. And I do want to mention, not only new county officials benefit from going to the new county officer school, we do have a lot of returning supervisors who can not only be there as resources for the new people, but you always get something new through networking, through the programming. We have new programming basically every year. Next up on January 30th, come back to Des Moines for the statewide supervisors meeting. This is a meeting that the Supervisors Association puts on. So this will provide a lot of funding for your association to then contract for all the services that we provide and other things as well. So some of this is yet to be determined, including the keynote speaker. If anybody has any ideas for the keynote speaker, reach out to Mike or I or Jeff, and we'll help you. And last but not least is the spring conference, which the agenda is listed there. I'm not going to go through it, but it seems like it'll be a great one. I do want to mention, so the supervisors, like I said, you have your own board of directors, which includes an executive committee. So Mike is your representative for your district. And he is actually the only returning district rep after all the elections and things like that. So you guys, yes, you guys will have 5 new board members this year, which is interesting. And then your executive committee, and then you also have folks who sit on the ISAC board of directors. There was one more thing I was going to mention. Certified Iowa County Supervisor Program. I want to say 150 to 200 supervisors over the past 4 years have done that, which I think is great. And also I wanted to thank Jeff. He is your district representative on the education committee. So if you have any ideas that aren't in your agendas that you want to see in your agendas, reach out to Jeff, or again, reach out to me, Mike. Anyway, so again, you can always reach out to me at my email, which most of you know what it is because I send you a lot of emails, or support@iowacounties.org. It's always there for you as well. So, any questions?
Yes, Rachel.
Yes.
Are they having the county day of county first place?
So no, so the way they do County Day at the Capitol is it's kind of a crapshoot lottery. So what you have to do a year before your actual day, you have to get up at 12:00 a.m. and try to reserve the space. So every year we have like 3 of us who get up at like 11:59, have it all filled out and click as soon as we can. So we got 12.00 and still didn't get it. So this year, what we're gonna do, the evening before the spring conference, which I don't know what that date is offhand. The 12th, the evening of the 12th, we're gonna do a legislative reception at the Hilton, something we kind of used to do, something that a lot of different associations do. So we'll try that out and just do something different instead of County Day.
On Wednesday?
Come in a little later.
On Wednesday the 12th?
Yes, Wednesday, the evening of the 12th, it's actually on here, 4:30 to 6:30 at the Hilton.
Okay. Thursday.
So, yeah, you won't have to come in as early that day or get a hotel room that night or anything like that. Any other questions?
We have a meeting at that same time.
No, we're gonna push back, education and push back the board meetings, so we don't go into that.
How's your lady doing to build a place?
Andrea Woodard is our new executive director and she's doing well. She couldn't be here. She's actually had this plan for a very long time. She was running a marathon in Hawaii for her birthday and anniversary trip. So she had it planned for like over a year. She was sad to have missed her meeting, but yeah, sends her regards.
So I would rather be in Hawaii too.
No. So yeah,
Yeah.
reach out to her at any time. She is absolutely accessible and open. She'll come to your meetings if you'd like, and you can come to anything with her. Yeah, you can talk to her. She's got an open door. She's great with staff. If you guys agree. And yeah, she's doing great. Hit the ground running. She works really hard. Knows everybody. So, you guys have anything that might want to hear? No.
Good. Any questions for Rach?
Next year's meeting's in Delaware County, like close.
And if you forget stuff out there, she'll send it back to you.
If you forget what?
And when I forget my stuff out there and I leave it at a meeting, then she'll send it back.
Oh, yeah, sunglasses.
Okay, so is there any other business before the board?
Mike,
Yes.
I'd just like to make a comment. We always appreciate Rachel and Lucas and Jeremy coming up, Jamie. And I think these meetings are great because of how much input and collaboration we get with all other supervisors. And this is where I have learned a lot, is that not always, the meetings are great, but I'm saying just working together with other supervisors and visiting, you pick up tremendous information. And I think these meetings are great, and thank you for putting it on.
Yeah, no, I think we had a good discussion here today, and we always want to thank Jackie and Jamie and Lucas and Rachel for what they put behind it. I don't know how we stack up or compare to other district meetings. I have no idea. But I appreciate the turnout, I appreciate you coming and supporting us all, so.
The road stuff was pretty nice, but every county's totally different. Ours is so.
I get it.
It was good educational, ours was like,
But I asked you to do the program and you did.
I don't think I got that.
Should I mention one more thing? Is that okay?
Yes.
Jeff kind of mentioned this, and this is something that the education committee has made, kind of a standard on the agendas moving forward. Because we got such good feedback after the first year, is the hot topics times, where we kind of go around the room and open the floor to the hot topics, where you can learn from other counties, where you can give comments, things like that. So we did put that on all these agendas. If it ever gets to a point where people don't want to do it anymore, obviously we can take it off. We'll make sure there's a good moderator who can keep people on topic.
So
And-
that could take an extra 2 hours, you know.
No, because they put the real hot ones at the very end and then Jamie will be like, oh, I'm sorry, we're done.
Well, I will say this, you do have one for the January 16th meeting it's 2 hours.
Yeah.
And because the last time I think we had scheduled a half hour, and that's definitely not enough time.
Well, no, you take up that whole time.
Well, we always put them kind of put them at the end of the agenda, and that way those who don't want to stay don't have to, but those who are interested are more than welcome to stay. So, anyway, that's all I wanted to mention.
I would suggest that we also are supplied with a couple shock collars for that. Dawn, did you have something yet?
No.
Your collar working?
Yeah, he just buzzed it.
I just wonder how many people are in with the data centers? Has anybody else been?
We had a moratorium on it, we just suspended that, and we lifted the moratorium, and it goes through the Board of Adjustments.
Yes.
The zoning Board of Adjustments for special consideration. We looked into it. Most of the ones that are looking to come into Jackson County right now, we can look at it on a case by case, and they're actually purchasing land, putting up buildings. And so it isn't just
They are.
storage units out in the middle of nowhere or, and with noise and, so we lifted that moratorium.
Our planning and zoning wanted to, limit them to commercial and industrial areas, but that's not where.
That's not where they need to be.
No,
That's not where the
they need to be,
substations
So that's not where the substations are, so we asked them not to do that. But they wanted to be in buildings too, because there's been some other locations where they just have storage units. And
If it was a rental property type of situation where they were renting the ground and stuff, there would be different considerations, but the fact that these companies are actually, and the landowners that were selling them the property, they're like, I'm the closest farm. I'm selling them the land. They're like, it's okay, we're good. The noise, the fact they're building buildings, they want to maintain all that kind of stuff.
One of ours is a rental that will be a storage, I believe.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But there could be
the other
10
two
to
are.
$20 million worth of equipment. We have to figure out how we can.
We're working with the assessor on that.
How we can tax this value of this.
Is there much noise
that's why we need
generated?
to put a building.
So.
No
if you're
different
gonna
than
do
a
that,
fan on a hog house.
You need so just think of this when you're doing that, if you're gonna put in a data center, when it comes to that taxing, you have to make it so that, they're taxing, their delivery of the equipment has to be in Jackson County or Clinton County or Clayton County or Jones County. They have to, the delivery point has to be, so that's how you get the sales tax off that equipment.
Okay, so you're talking
I'm
data
about
center,
that.
like the cloud data center where people
Yeah.
store their.
Yeah.
Okay, because Heartland Acres
Property.
or Heartland Technology built one in Jessup.
Yeah.
I mean, they're very specific and it looks like Fort Knox. You know, it has the wires and everything around it.
There's one in the town of Macokota, there's a data center. And then we were talking about it, and I'm like, I literally think there's one across the parking lot in the strip mall. The guy, he makes a decent living selling cloud spacers, stabilizing whatever for data, I don't know. Now, that's completely different than battery storage. That is still under moratorium, solar is still under moratorium, but we're trying to finish up with the wind and the data mining, relatively small footprint. If it goes to the zoning board of adjustments for special exemption or whatever, they have to contact neighbors within a quarter or half a mile. And so everybody will have input and.
It's on a case by case.
Yeah.
You have any Fitbits? Fitbit machines? We have one, how old?
So, I mean, I called cities, there's towns that have them, and they didn't even know they were there. I called the city council, I called the supervisors, and I know they're there, they told us they had them there, but they don't even know it's there.
I called a couple that didn't know, and then the one that called me back, she goes, oh, I guess we do.
That moratorium we did lift, so.
Hey, on your window, whoever's gonna do, solar, we were the first county to do solar, large scale solar, Tom was involved with that. You can reach out to Town Sponsor Planning and Zoning and get that. My only suggestion is ours is 300-foot setback, but we were negotiating after we had an application already turned in. So we had to do a lot of negotiating, right, Tom? My suggestion would be is have a 500-foot setback. Cause I read through 6 different studies. 500 foot was the kind of the break even point where there was no effect on your property values. It was 500-foot setback. We were able to get 300-foot. You know, the company, our original setbacks were 50-foot. Just was a regular setback, right? We never, well, when you got 2008, who the hell thought we're gonna come into Iowa and put up 2,200 acres of solar?
Go up to Lancaster.
Yeah. But this is solar.
$1,000 an acre, 30 years, 30% increase every year.
Ours, the first ones were $800 an acre with 3% increase, but that was signed 3 years ago. I was just informed up in Jones County, up in Monticello area, they're offering $1,650 an acre. Hey, Ken Beck, you're in Scott County, I will tell you that I have an uncle that was offered $1,800 an acre for 40-acre parcel.
Better be CSR 65 or less, so.
You gotta pay the hard acre.
$1,800 an acre.
Per year.
3.5% increase every year.
Oh, God, we didn't bring it down there. It's sold.
That much more.
Yeah, we got contracts.
Swears in.
$1,800.
Any other business before the board?
Who's buying supper?
What?
Who's buying supper?
Tom, legislators.
All right, meeting adjourned. Thanks for everyone.
Thank you.
We forgot.